Good morning. Thanks for clicking on the video. It has been a while. So as you can see, I am relegated to watching the birds from outside the aviary. So to get you caught up to why that is, let me rewind back to where my last video ended, and I'll get you caught up. Okay, I think I had the black-cheeked wax-billed parents on eggs, or maybe feeding the chicks. And I had a pair of quail finches that had built a nest and were incubating eggs. And Sven, my gold-breasted waxbill male, had just passed away. And my blue-banded male quail finch had built a nest in the hopes of attracting one of the females and was not being successful at all. But in this video, he will have success. So one thing great about the hobby is when you have downtimes and you call your bird buddies and you're feeling bad about losing your gold-breasted waxbill male, very often they go, hey, I have a friend of a friend who just had a clutch, has 2 extra young males. And I was like, wow, that would be so nice to be able to add them to the aviary. So I made arrangements to have those 2 boys come live with me. And one of the species I have never, ever kept, ever, in all this time, even in college, were orange cheek waxbills. And there happened to be a pair, or 2, I should say, I'm not 100% sure they're a pair, of orange cheeks available. And so those 4 birds made the trip back to my aviary and now have been added to the family. So that was exciting. And then, totally out of the blue, one of the people that had 4 of my male twin spot youngsters from 2020 and 2021 developed allergies, couldn't keep them, and thought to ask me if I knew of a good home for them. And I said, yes, I am that home. And so I got 4 of my original, a couple of my F1 generation and a couple F2 generation twin spots back. So I'm so excited to add them back to the family. And right now they are in with 2 of my female twin spots, just to get used to me and my rhythm, and they need to get used to foliage and flying up and down, and they'll work their way into the aviary later on in the summer. And then the black-cheeked waxbill chicks fledged. And here's more bad news. There were 4 chicks, and they only fed 2. And 2 of them perished. The 2 chicks went on to grow up to be beautiful males. So I keep losing female chicks, and I think it's the mom that does not feed the female chicks. And I don't know why. There could be some biological reasons with that. But that made me think to do an experiment and move that pair into a flight cage for their last clutch and see if I get a different result or if I can influence it in some way. So that's what I have done with that pair. Okay, so that brings me to this. The first clutch of quail finches, which was the orange female and the yellow male, hatched 3 chicks. I normally watch in the aviary. I sit in the corner and I watch the birds and I take notes and I study them, and I really enjoy that. Well, I was in the aviary trying to ascertain whether or not they had hatched any chicks. And I was in there for a while, let's say maybe 45 minutes. The next day, I found a quail finch chick away from the nest, and it had perished. And I don't know if it had died in the nest or if it was tossed, essentially tossed, even though they nest on the ground, and then passed away. So quail finches are known for being sensitive to disturbance in the environment, but also new parents sometimes toss chicks. So I wasn't 100% sure what was going on. Left them alone for a couple days. Then when I thought any remaining chicks would be about 3 days old, I went back in and sat quietly because I can usually hear chicks begging at that age, and I did. I heard 2 chicks at least. But the next day, there was a 4-day-old chick that had been tossed. So now I'm putting 2 and 2 together, and I think I'm triggering this problem. So I stayed away for another 5 days. But you saw the water feature there. That needs to be cleaned regularly, or it's not healthy water. So I waited sort of as long as I thought I could, and I very quietly went in and very, slowly, sort of carefully and deliberately cleaned the stream and got out of there. But the next day I found the last chick had been tossed, 9 days old. So I feel horrible, of course. So I cleaned the nest out. I cleaned Blue's nest out, the one you see here. I cleaned the aviary, and I want to do all that before that quail finch pair thinks about recycling for a second clutch. And then I let it go a week or so, or a week or two, and then I decided, okay, I'll add some more nesting material. And Blue rebuilt the nest in almost the same location, not exactly. And to my surprise, the orange female switched partners. So the yellow male did not build a nest. Blue rebuilt a nest in almost the same location. You can see it here. It's just slightly down the hill from the original. And this time, as soon as I realize they've built a nest and I believe they're laying eggs, I stay out of the aviary for 6 weeks, which is why the footage is so bad. So this is filming through the window where you saw me sitting with my coffee outside. 6 weeks. So they built the nest. They may or may not have been incubating. There may or may not have been eggs. I don't know how many. I don't know exactly when they started. I don't know if any chicks have hatched, but I start feeding as if chicks have hatched. And then it turns out that a chick does hatch, and it gets tossed. And I thought, going down that same path again. But I know for a fact I have not been in the aviary. On the other hand, this is a new male, his first clutch. So I go back to thinking, all right, well, maybe, first clutch freaks out. I don't know if there are any more chicks, nothing. I can't really tell whether they're feeding, although I'm feeding mealworms and fruit flies are always available in the aviary, and egg food. And they're eating it. They figured out how to go into the warming area to eat it, so I can watch from the porch to see what they're eating. And then based on when I found the chick that had been tossed, I'm estimating if there are any other chicks, when they might be fledging, and that's what I'm videotaping right now, trying to see, and I'm using my binoculars, trying to check and see, do I see any motion in the nest? Is it the mom? Could it be something else? Is there more than one thing moving? I can't hear any begging because I'm outside of the aviary. I can hear the outside birds well enough. And I want to show you what I saw. Not graceful, but he did it. And it turns out there are 2 chicks. They are not that easy to spot, but they happen to be in a really good spot for me to watch them. So there's the 2 little chicks on the left. And either mom or dad is always right by them, so that's what makes them a little bit easier to find. Or at least right at the moment they are. So I know the footage is terrible, hard to see, and one of the reasons why I haven't made any videos lately is because I've been stuck out in the yard trying to see what's going on. But first, quail finch chicks for me, brand new species. Really, really like them. Very interesting birds. Thanks for watching.